Okay, this is a review and instructions on how to do the two exercises at the end of lecture 4. Okay, these exercises have to do with correcting GUI terminology or GUI language, GUI meaning graphic user interface terminology. And the idea is that when you write instructions or explanations that for programs or any kind of software that has a graphic user interface, you want to adhere to the basic, let's say, conventions that have grown up over the years when referring to various items on the screen and various kinds of actions that you can do in a GUI. Most of these, as I explained in the lecture, are common sense terms, really, that grew up partly through just people's experimenting with different expressions and ways of saying things that were clearer than others, and then finding that certain expressions are just shorter, easier to understand, more intuitive, and partly there are certain conventions that were put forth by, notably by Microsoft, because after all, the graphic user interface that we're most familiar with and that we use today was pretty much invented by Microsoft, or at least promoted greatly. I mean, the actual invention was more by Apple and Xerox in the old days of computing, but the fact is that Windows has become the dominant graphic user interface throughout the world. So their suggestions as to how to talk about different things on the screen and how to refer to various kinds of items are pretty valid, and I think are mainly accepted throughout the world. So that's what we're going to look at now. This is an operating instruction. A little bit harder to figure out because we don't really see the instruction in front of us. In other words, we don't actually see the activity. But even if we didn't try out the instruction in some way and verify all of the parts of it, we can still do a basic edit here and get rid of the worst kind of stuff, meaning the kind of expressions that I regard as improper or just plain not user-friendly and that type of thing. Let's look to create a cross-reference. All right, that's okay. In the document, input the introductory text. Well, first of all, whenever you see the word input, that should basically set bells ringing. The word input is a kind of a computerese word that came about, I suppose, with the advent of data processing, but it's definitely not the kind of word you want to use when you're referring to entering information. First of all, it's not concrete. How do you input anything? Okay, and what are you supposed to do to input something? Second of all, it's not the kind of word that we normally use in everyday language, so therefore it's kind of one of these self-important words that doesn't help at all to put the reader at ease. And it's just not used. It's considered to be really poor use of language. Instead, we could either say enter the introductory text, even though that's also not so concrete. And probably the best thing is to just write the word type. Okay, in the document, type the introductory text if that's what you're doing. Okay, in this particular program, we're talking about Microsoft Word. This is an instruction in Word. So in the document, type the introductory text that begins the cross-reference. Okay, now here, I don't know, should we put a comma? I think we probably should put a hyphen there because we've hyphenated it here. Many words are either hyphen or not, again, depending on common usage. And normally when you have two words at the beginning, a two-word term, there's no hyphen in between, and then once it's used a great deal, and when it becomes kind of like a standard term, then it suddenly gets a hyphen in between it. So you have something like cross-reference with a hyphen, and in some cases the term even grows together, where you have the two words put together without a hyphen. Okay. But right now we can use maybe hyphen between cross-reference. All right, for example, enter for more information, see. Okay, this is actually the thing you're supposed to enter. A little confusing because we don't want to put quotation marks around it because we don't want people to think that they have to put that as well. You can leave it as is, which is what Microsoft does, or you can maybe put it like that if you want to emphasize it so people understand that it's not part of the sentence. It's kind of a problem in grammar altogether. It calls use and mention. In other words, you're basically referring, you're telling people what to type here, but this is not really part of the sentence. For more information, see. All right, let's go on to the next one. Select the cross-reference option in the insert menu. Okay, this is a problem. Okay, we said before that when you want to tell people how to do something in a GUI, you first want to use an order that shows that you're going from the first thing that you come in contact with and the next thing and the next thing. In other words, your first thing is you're going to go to the insert menu. After that, you're going to then somehow find the cross-reference option. So it's better to rewrite this as the following. Let's do something like this. In the insert menu, you can use in, on, or from. I don't care which one, but as long as you're consistent. In the insert menu. Instead of select, we said it might be better to use choose. This is an older convention that was suggested by Microsoft, that when you're selecting or picking commands from a menu, we want to use the word choose. When you're selecting things, meaning you're just kind of like marking them, but nothing is happening yet, we use the word select. For example, I can select this word by double-clicking here. Okay, so it's selected, it's gray, or going like this. That's called selection. Or if I'm in a dialog box, I can click a few check boxes, and that's selecting them too, because nothing really happens yet. It's just marking those boxes. And then only after I choose OK, then the settings take effect. Okay, so here too, when I select this word, nothing happens until I do something like press delete or who knows what else. Okay, so we might want to adhere to that convention. You don't have to, but it's just a suggestion. So we would write this in the insert menu, choose. We could just say choose cross-reference. We don't really need to say, okay, just like that. In other words, we take this out, and that would be the end of that. Okay. So that would be the first thing. Again, we don't have to say choose the cross-reference option. We just say choose cross-reference. I said that's a perfectly okay convention. What about the next one? In the reference type drop-down list box. Okay, first of all, the idea of a drop-down list box is we don't want that. Okay, I mentioned in the lecture that according to Microsoft, and I also think they're correct in this, the word drop-down list box should be reserved for programmers. You know, a programmer who is needs to change something in a GUI can be told to, I want you to change the reference type drop-down list box, because that's really what it is in terms of its, let's say, technical classification. All right, but in terms of giving instructions to somebody who's not a programmer, who's just somebody who wants to know how to select something in a box, I don't know, select a certain setting, then just call it a list or a box, depending on what it is. Okay. If it's just a list of things and you cannot type anything new in there, in other words, you must select from the predefined list and there's nothing else you can, no other values you can put in there, then it's just called a list. Okay? I believe that that's what this is. So in the reference type list, get rid of box and everything else, just it's called a list. Okay, click the reference type. No, you don't need any of this. All of this needs to go. Okay. You don't tell people that they click the little down arrow and such and such a list appears. You don't have to provide exact instructions on how to open up those list boxes and make things drop down. Okay? That would be too tedious and somewhat trivial, because most people today know how to do that. They only need your instructions in order to know what to do at this point, but not actually how to use these various GUI features. Most people know how to use a menu, they know how to use a list box, they know how to, you don't really need to instruct them in this anymore. If you feel you do, then you can have a separate section in the Getting Started chapter at the very beginning of a manual saying things like how to use list boxes, or how to use a menu, or how to use, that's fine if you really think your users are that simple. Once in a while you can have people like that, but today it's pretty much not recommended, because children, even at an early age, are using iPads and whatnot, so that these kinds of structures, and they're so familiar with the GUI structures today that it's pretty much that you just grow up with it. So I would actually omit any kind of thing like this. So actually this entire sentence needs to be taken out altogether. That would have to be changed to a 3 then, right? And here you would just say in the reference type, again, list, because this is pretty much a repeat of what we saw before. Okay, select the type of item you want to refer to. Okay. Now this is not very good grammar here. You could say to which you want to refer, or you could say you want to refer to. It's okay to have a preposition at the end, but you need to have better punctuation here. I don't even like this kind of thing, comma, for example, a chapter heading or table. You could do that, or if you could be a little more formal, you could say, for example, select chapter heading or table. Okay, that's perfectly okay. All right. And then from the insert reference to drop-down list box. Okay. Well, again, it's another kind of a list, so it's called the insert reference to list. All right. And then we get rid of that. Okay, from the insert. Now, some people would maybe make a remark here that how do people know that this is an actual name, insert reference to? I mean, it seems confusing because it might seem like from the insert reference and then to do something. I don't know. At first glance, it is confusing, and some people would like to say maybe we should put this in bold. Well, if you want to bold this, you could do so, but then you have to make sure that you bold all lists and all menus and everything that's that's an option, etc. If you want to do that, that's fine, but then you have to be consistent. You're not allowed to just do it on certain things because it looks confusing and other things not. Okay, so you would just have to completely bold everything. Now, there's some Microsoft manuals that actually do that, and I'm not a fan of that because what happens is you can see here, everything starts to look like it's bold. You've got bold in every sentence and more bold. And if you're looking at the manual in its entirety, like an entire page, then you would start to see a bit of confusion because the titles that break up the sections that make it easy, rapid, or what we call rapid information retrieval, now become kind of blended in with all the other bold, and it becomes difficult to see what you're doing or where you are. Okay, so I'm not crazy about having bold everywhere, but if you wanted to, you could do that. Okay, so from the insert menu to list, open the information you inserted. Well, open the information. No, this again would have to say select. I don't even know why it's called information here, but if it's in a list, then it's select. And if you say in the reference type list, this is also in the insert. I don't know, from doesn't really sound good anyway. In the insert reference to list, select the information you want inserted in the document. And I would put a period here so it won't be just run on. For example, select the chapter heading. Okay. Again, in the for which menu, click the specific item you want to refer to. Okay, now here we have a problem. We don't know if this for which menu is really a menu or if this is a mistaken term and it should be the for which list or box. Okay, we can try to figure it out by the context. Click the specific item you want to refer to. It seems like an item just like in all these other lists. For example, if you click heading in the reference type box and the document has 6 headings, click the heading you want to refer to. So apparently this refers to the concrete actual headings. For example, if you clicked heading, that you would see. In other words, it is a list. It's a list of the different headings that you have in your particular document, or a list of the particular pictures, or whatever you're referring to. So I would probably say this is just a mistake in the for which list. Okay, again, you can't just type in your own thing. It's what's already in your document that happens to show up on the list. If we want to, again, be consistent with the bolding, we can do that. Okay. Click the string we want to refer to. For example, if you click heading in it, okay, again. And we already said the reference type is a list, not a box. Okay. And this also probably bold. Okay, point to insert and click. No, you don't need to point to anything and click. Just click insert. Okay. And just click Insert. And that's it. You can finish it off by saying maybe some kind of a completion statement, such as the cross-reference appears like this, or it appears at the at the point where you specified, where the point where your cursor specified, whatever. I'm not quite sure. I have to look back over this and see what we want to put at the end, so people understand what happened after you finished it. Because you've done a lot of things here. You've clicked cross-reference, and then you click the reference type list, and insert reference to list, and a for which list, etc. And then, well, so what do you get in the end? You might even want to give an example here at the end. For example, if you did this and this and this, then you will get the following, and you would show people what it looks like.